Bao Nguyen says he might not have existed if it weren't for American generosity toward Vietnamese refugees after the fall of Saigon in 1975. After 7 attempts to flee Vietnam, his parents spent 6 months in a refugee camp in Hong Kong before being sponsored by a Jewish organization that allowed them to resettle in Wisconsin in 1979. A few years later, Nguyen, now a filmmaker based in Los Angeles, was born. "I'm a result and a product of a generous America," Nguyen told NPR. In the last week, as thousands of Afghans face an uncertain future under Taliban rule, Vietnamese Americans, many of whom are children of refugees, are calling on U.S. officials to let in as many Afghan refugees as possible and trying to assist Afghans who are already landing in America. "I see sort of the lineage of American generosity because of these events, and I think it's almost my responsibility to pass that on to the Afghani refugees and people who are trying to get to America," Nguyen said. The empathy many Vietnamese Americans feel toward Afghan refugees has pushed them to take action. A group of Vietnamese American friends in Seattle are trying to pair 75 Vietnamese host families with 75 incoming Afghan families arriving in the Seattle-Tacoma area. Rose Avenue Bakery, an Asian American bakery in Washington, D.C., is donating 10% of proceeds from this weekend's sales to help with Afghan refugee resettlement efforts. Owner and baker Rosie Nguyen, whose parents were Vietnamese refugees, said seeing the desperation of Afghans this week feels very personal. "The perspective of my parents is going to be the same as these people," she said. "They're terrified, they're scared, they want a better life for themselves and their children. So they're going to do anything and everything to do that, and when you do that, you're giving up everything. It's just a small token that I feel like we can do as a small business," she said of the fundraiser. "I would hope that there's people, I know there is, that are doing the same, and that we're all pitching in to help." Critics have pointed out the similarities between images from Kabul this week as Afghans desperate to flee the country crowded the city's airport and from Saigon in 1975 when Americans pulled out of Vietnam. In the aftermath of Saigon, approximately 150,000 Vietnamese were able to seek refuge on American soil. 4 years later, President Jimmy Carter doubled the number of Indo-Chinese refugees accepted, a move that was politically unpopular at the time. Only 34% of Americans supported the idea. Georgia State Representative Bee Nguyen, who tweeted this week about how her parents found refuge in Iowa, told NPR she would have liked political leaders to have responded more quickly with assisting Afghans. But she expects there will be a change in political will to increase the cap on refugees.